Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Tom.Moffat. Tom, you want to give us a little bit of your background and we'll get into it?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having me. First of all, Glenn, it's an absolute pleasure. Where do I start? Live in Ontario, outside of Grimsby, Ontario, Niagara region. Firefighter, mortgage broker, and real estate investor. Been doing all of them for, firefighting about 4 years, real estate investing for about 3 years, and mortgages for about 3 years too.
Awesome. This might be a little bit off topic, but I have one of my neighbors is like a firefighter and he works 1 day a week. Is that why you can do so many different things?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so with their schedule, they're 24-hour shifts. Yes. So if you actually break it down into a weekly, hourly job, it's the same as any other job, 42 hours a week. But because they're 24-hour shifts, it accumulates to 7 or 8 shifts a month.
Yeah.
Which days a month. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all batching, which is I love batching, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to cut you off, but yeah,
that's
a great job to scale into to do other things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super fortunate in the fact that I do have the days off to do what I want to do and have those multiple streams of income coming in. So yeah, very, very fortunate.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey. You're living outside of Grimsby. Any real estate you did in Canada, real estate you did in the US, and then we'll
yeah. So I guess the very first investment I had was a new construction condo in Burlington. Bought it back in, I guess technically as a real estate investor, it goes back to 2016, but I don't really count it. Because long story short, bought it, new construction. I don't know if you've heard of the recent one in Burlington of the condo development that came back to the buyers and asking for essentially more money because they're raising the purchase price. Same thing happened to me. They offered pretty much take your deposit back or we're going to increase your purchase price to what market price is today, which was
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that was the perk of buying it pre-construction.
Yeah.
So you got it locked in at yesterday's prices.
I know, right? And I held on to that thing for 4 years, and they had so many delays and issues, and essentially they were able to get away with it because they never broke ground for my phase. So I got out of there. I'm glad I did because they still haven't broke ground. But that was my first investment, and that was in Burlington, Ontario. Then what did I do? Bought in Hamilton, little condo, moved from there into a townhouse here in Lincoln, Ontario. Bought in Calgary, and the States as well in Indianapolis, which is probably what we're going to chat about here. And another condo in St. Catharines.
So that's awesome. You're Indianapolis, you're in Calgary.
I'm everywhere.
You're everywhere. And that's the thing. You're even with myself, I'm all over the place. And it's, I don't know what it is. It's being brave or just creating some sort of system to go with this. So maybe let's talk about setting this stuff up from a distance and how you got that all going.
Yeah, absolutely. So which one do you want to talk about first? The indie one?
Which one came first? I don't know.
The first one, what was it? I guess Calgary came first. So that one was super easy. Yeah. So for me, because I have several things going on, my investing, I do want it to be fairly simple and lazy. So yeah, that's the dream, right? But obviously with that, the negative side to buying pre-construction is that obviously you're not going to get your cash out right away. You're not burning it, right? So the thing I did with Calgary was it was a new construction townhouse, bought it, pretty straightforward, built within a year. It was guaranteed rent and property management for 3 years, which was something I liked about it.
Yeah.
Just closed September 1st, and yeah, renters are in there already and getting guaranteed rent and property management.
So yeah, that one's actually kind of cool. You're not going to need any sorry, excuse me, renovation, you're not going to need like to find a property manager that's they put stuff together for you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the most hands-off investment that I could have done. And obviously, like I mentioned, the downside to that is that my money's tied up. But if I can focus more of my time on building out my mortgage business, then that's why I went that route.
Yeah. Okay. And then so how do you transition to doing this in the States? Any differences?
Yeah, a lot of differences. So I guess first of all, I wouldn't have, and this isn't a plug to you. Well, I guess it is, but I wouldn't have jumped into it if I didn't do, first of all, your program. Second of all, I discovered your program through your podcast, which really helped me out. I wouldn't have thought I would ever go to the States for an investment, but definitely helped me get there. And yeah, it's different in a lot of ways in the sense that obviously you're in a foreign country. So things like mortgages change, your LTV, your down payment needed. You're going to have the higher down payment that you're going to need for it. You're like, well, I haven't seen the property. I probably never will, which I'm okay with. So you got to kind of get over that aspect.
Yeah.
And just the little things like obtaining a credit card and finding the right team to set up in place. There's a lot more to it, and definitely headaches come along the way, but in my opinion, it's definitely worth it.
Cool. So let's talk about your talk about the Indy property, right? I believe you did a refi now. Maybe we talk about how everything went through that.
Yeah, so I bought it from yours truly, Glenn Sutherland. Bought it privately from you, and yeah, basically bought it in cash to close it right away. And then the idea was I was going to do a full burr right away to get the capital out and obviously recycle. But I decided to do it in 2 stages just because life got a little crazy. And I figured first thing I do is just do a light little cosmetic reno, basically just to freshen it up. Like we did paint, carpet, there's like vines on the outside. If you can remember, we cleaned all that stuff up. So it was very minor, if you want to call it a renovation. Refinanced it, which was a very long process just because.
Did you get it done before the rates went up?
Yeah, no, unfortunately. So the refi process, well, first of all, you have to wait the 6 months for the to do the refi, right? So we had to wait the 6 months. And then after that, we refinanced it, and it was a long process to basically close in 2 weeks ago from when we bought it in November. So almost a full year.
A lot since then.
Yeah. The plan is to basically, I mean, we have tenants in there right now since March, and they're paying every month, which is great. And the idea is to actually get that money back out the second time. So if, once they leave or if we have tenant turnover, I'm going to do a full burr and actually do like more of a renovation and grab that money back out.
Also do the heavier renovation and then.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And then you're just doing a traditional rental. You didn't go with the lease options or anything like that.
Just traditional. Yeah.
It's sometimes it's hard to get convince the property manager to even to understand what the heck you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of know because I'm kind of a little bit closer to this project than I normally am when I'm interviewing somebody. But how did that go? How you're working with a new team? Any snags? Anything? Any problems you happen to go with?
Yeah. So overall, we didn't have like major problems, but there was definitely everything that you think could go wrong kind of did. Like our property manager. Obviously not going to name names. He went out of the business. You might know what I'm talking about, but yeah, he exited the business after, I think he had like personal stuff going on. But anyways, it worked out. Like everything was fine. We ended up transitioning to new property managers, and they've been great so far. What else? And yeah, the whole refi process was a headache just because of the lender we went with. We really wanted the 70% LTV.
Yeah.
And because of that, this one lender, they were just a bit hesitant on releasing funds for the past like 4 or 5 months, just because of how the market's been. So we were patient with it and we stuck with them. Otherwise, we would have been getting 65%. So we're glad we did. It just took longer.
Which time is a little bit a time when the interest rates keep jumping every couple months.
I know. Yeah. That's
Okay.
the thing.
So you got all that done. Does it still cash flow after the refi and everything else? When I started investing in the US, I did it by myself and had to go through the growing pains of doing that. GlennSutherland.com/coaching. A 12-week coaching program done 1 hour per week over Zoom from the comfort of your own home. Classes are kept to 5 people to be able to answer everyone's questions. Shortcut the process. Make fewer mistakes. Curriculum available at GlennSutherland.com/coaching.
Yep. So cash flow is about $300 a month.
Okay. What kind of systems do you set up? What did you have, like checks in place to check on people? Like what kind of things have you set up to make sure that this runs, or systems, or even if you have any systems?
I do and I don't. Like I have a little checklist I use when obtaining properties, like who I need to set up, like a list of property managers, realtors, wholesalers, all that good stuff. In terms of process, really, I just follow that checklist. And I probably should have something more streamlined, like something on Trello or something, but that's pretty much it. I just follow the checklist and away we go.
That's all you need, right? Like well, you took the course, so it's like a lot of times I have my list that I have, that Excel sheet that I just can work my way through. Now I have it all in my head. But even still, a lot of times I'll send it to someone I'm new working with, or anyone in the class, and we'll just start. You start at the top and you start checking all the boxes off, and you get to the bottom and you've got the property.
Exactly. Yeah. I try not to overcomplicate things. Like if it's just a simple checklist for me, and it works, then away we go.
So you just did this mortgage, and you are a mortgage broker in Canada. So what are you seeing for the mortgage situation? What's going on? What do you, I don't know if you have predictions or just how is it going in both countries?
Yeah, so I'm not like too injected into the States in terms of their market. Like I know the bare basics, and typically what happens there, Canada follows. So really what I'm predicting, and I'm sure we're all going to be wrong in a year's time from now, but over 70% of economists in the States and a lot of other people believe that from Q1 to Q2 of next year, we'll start to see the rates flatline and start dropping. There's many different indicators that have them steering in that direction, but then you have the Bank of Canada here basically saying, hey guys, just a heads up, like we're going to experience some pain for a lot longer than we thought. So they might keep rates higher here. So we'll see if we follow the States directly, or if we keep rates a little higher, a little longer. But yeah, if I had to guess, I'd guess at some point next year, we'll start to see the rates flatline and start to drop.
Yeah, that's what I was reading about this exact. We probably read, well, there's everyone saying the same thing. One person comes up with the ideas, everyone repeats it.
I know, right?
But yeah, I was reading the same thing, because a lot of the Fed, they base it on last year's inflation into now, and it's just a comparison from last year.
Yeah, exactly. Inflation and rates, they follow the same line. So once we start seeing inflation come down, if they're smart enough to do it, they'll start dropping rates right away at a certain, like earlier on than when they hit their target, because usually it's an after effect. If their inflation starts to drop and they really want to hit their target of 3 or 4%, and we're at 6%, it might be better to start lowering rates at that point, because usually there's an after effect, a trickling effect of inflation still plummeting, and you don't want it to go too far. So we'll see if they're smart enough to do that.
I anticipated it'll at least level off, but if it does start to drop, I think it will change everyone's perspective, because a lot of real estate is just mental, and there's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And just if they saw that, would give enough hope to drop a lot of the fear, right?
Yeah, and one thing I would say to that too is a lot of people are expecting like a huge drop off, and sure, we'll probably start to see prices continue to drop here in Canada, but I fully expect the market to heat right back up when rates do drop, because there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines right now. Immigration numbers are at an all-time high with Canada too. So more people moving into the country. We have the supply issue, people sitting on the sidelines right now. Once rates drop, it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a shit show again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was writing some articles on CBC as well. These immigrants have nowhere to live. Anyway, kind of off topic with the mortgage thing, but so what is we had some questions we were kind of talking about before we went on the air about your fire journey. How does that play out? What's your goals?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people listening and real estate investors in general, a lot of them have that same goal. That's why real estate investing is awesome, because you can attain that goal a lot faster using real estate investing versus, other traditional methods early on. And for me, it's more so a play of having those multiple streams of income coming in. And the fire goal, it's more so the FI of the fire that I'm really concentrated on. It's not so much retiring early, because I mean, a lot of people like the idea of retiring early, but I think keeping busy, for me at least, I'm always going to be keeping busy with stuff, but having the financial independence and having the ability to retire from any job I wanted to is what I really want for my family. And having the passive income to replace my income is really what I'm concentrating on.
Yeah. So if you're going to try and set up multiple streams of income, are these all going to be real estate related, or would you go different altogether? Or like, what are you looking at?
Right now it's real estate. Like I forget who said it, but I'm going to butcher this. It's quote from someone, but the first 5 million you make is a lot faster using real estate. And then after that, it's a lot easier and quicker to use traditional methods like stocks and that. I butchered that, but that's kind of my angle there, is using real estate because I can leverage the bank's money, right? Like that's the key for me, is using that least amount of capital, use the bank's money, and it grows over time. 10, 15 years from now, it's going to make a huge difference. And from there, if I want, I can make it more passive and either sell off properties or refi the properties, take that money and put it into something more passive.
Yep. No, it makes a lot of sense. And still, and you're doing that Burr method, that's what it sounds like. Then you can, if you're buying in cash, you can redeploy your own cash, or you could raise money to other people. You can leverage other people too, right? So to build this, but you can redeploy the money, the same money, to make more money off of, right? That's the whole idea with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've kind of thought about going into that route of having JVs and having cash partners, but that requires time to have that process set up as well. And I sometimes have the shiny object syndrome, where I'm always looking in different avenues, and sometimes I just really need to nail down and focus on the areas that make most sense to me. And for that, it's firefighting is my everyday income, like my expenses, everything. My mortgage business is really the money that comes in. I use to invest in real estate. And if I can do the real estate passively and focus on the mortgage business to bring in more money, then that's really ideal for me. And the real estate investing isn't so much of a cash flow play for me right now. It's more so as long as cash flow is neutral or slightly positive, it's more of an equity play for me long term.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned, like, if you make it passive, how passive is your portfolio right now?
Very passive. Like
Okay.
I don't, yeah. Well, I mean, the US property obviously is an outlier. Like I was a lot more hands-on with that, but everything else I have is,
But now that you've got it all stabilized, or like, what does it involve every month? Like, how much work are you putting into it?
Like maybe an hour or two a month at most.
Okay. And that's just like to check over their stuff, or what do you
just to check in with the property managers, see if there's been any, like a lot of them, they use the Buildium platform, so like I'll check on there to see if there's been anything that's been deducted from the rent roll, and if there is, then I'll follow up with them, see what that was, because I try to tell them, like, hey, if it's something minor, just fix it, just do it and take it off the rent. And and if it's a bigger bill, then I'll just kind of inquire as to what that is. And right now I'm not actively searching for properties. So if I was, then obviously I'd be spending more time looking, analyzing properties. But as of right now, I'm not. So it's not too much time. Yeah.
That's awesome. Before I let you go, Tom, how would someone reach out to you, find out what your Canadian mortgage is, want to have a chat with you about your American stuff? How would they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always down for a conversation. You can reach me at experts@moffattmortgages.ca. That's experts with an S, and Moffatt, Moffat. And Instagram, I'm pretty active on there. You can follow me. It's just Tom.Moffat_. I don't know if you'll have that in your show notes or not. That one's a little.
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I get lazy.
But yeah, email or Instagram, pretty easy.
Awesome. And like for people listening to this, like Tom is fully educated and can do these JVs, so you could reach out to him for some future deals, right? There's always opportunity. He knows what he's doing. So yeah.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it. And thank you for having me on.
All right. Thanks for coming, Tom.